Welcome, everybody. So, we are having a discussion today, and we are talking about adapting to the changing media landscapes in Africa. The media landscape in Africa is undergoing a significant transformation driven by technological advancements, shifting consumer behaviors, and evolving business model. So, in this session, we will explore the impact of digitalization on traditional voice, new opportunities for growth, and strategies for success in this evolving landscape. I am joined by Nick Grubb, which I'll hand over to. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we jump straight into the questions.
Hi there, I'm Nick Grubb. I'm the Chief Executive of Kagiso Media Radio, and we are one of South Africa's premier radio broadcasting businesses.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Nick, and we are happy to have you in this discussion session. So I have a few questions for you, and the first one would be, what is the most significant change that you have observed in the media landscape recently?
Well, I mean, as you introduced so eloquently, there's a lot of change in the industry at large on a global and continental and country level. The most significant of that really is the fragmentation of options available to advertisers. You know, media has traditionally been and is still predominantly funded from advertiser revenues. And, you know, as much as there has been still a lot of audience participation in even traditional media formats and really aren't so worried about audiences losing attention on traditional media, certainly there's a lot more opportunities for advertisers to reach those audiences via other channels and a myriad of those channels. So what we're seeing is a huge fragmentation of the revenue cake, if you like, a whole lot of slices, and that makes media sustainability challenging.
100%. I agree with you. And how has your organization adapted to changing consumer habits in this whole evolving landscape?
I think it's around doing two things at the same time. The one is around making sure that we keep the main business the main business. I think it is very tempting in a period of immense change to run after every new fad and opportunity and think that that will be a golden goose that's going to create new amazing revenue streams. What takes time is for listener habits to change and audience habits to change. And so as much as there's lots of technological change on the front end, habits take a while to change on the other. So, you know, we can adopt very quickly to a new technological trend, but it will take time before audiences fully embrace that. And then advertisers then have to follow after that. So I think, you know, the first rule is around making sure that the business you're in, whether it's television or radio or, you know, whatever traditional media you're involved in, make sure that you're as good as, you keep refining the product and your audience engagement and keep focusing on what has made you great in the first place. That's not to say that one shouldn't be alive to these new trends. And of course, there's a level of experimentation that you need to do at the same time to make sure that you are you know, learning the lessons that you need in order to prepare for meaningful business ventures that are going to take advantage of these new trends that are going to happen adjacent to your current businesses. But to take your eye off the ball and chase every squirrel that you see running along, as no matter how attractive it may seem, you know, could lead to audience erosion in your main business, which is where your core of your revenue sits. So it's a question of doing both simultaneously.
Right. That's very, very insightful. Thank you for sharing. So I'm going to take it a little bit personal. And if you had to go back in time and give your younger self advice on the African media industry right now, as it is, but going back to your younger self, what would that advice be?
I think it's a bit of a cliche, particularly for people like me who have some gray creeping into the hair color. But really, the older you get, the more you realize what you don't know. There's a lot of amazing certainty that comes with youth, and that's a wonderful thing to capitalize on. But for me, it's certainly been, as I've gotten older, the realization that great media is made by great people, and that actually, you know, whilst I thought perhaps earlier in my career it was all about what I could do or what tools I could use or what techniques or creativity I could apply, it's really about collaboration and making sure that relationships with people and working with building great teams is what creates great media and compelling content. So I think, perhaps more of a focus on the human side of the business and less on the technical side of the business in the start of my career perhaps would have reaped more rewards earlier on. But we're in the people business.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, awesome. So I have three more questions. The next one is, what is the role do you see social media playing in the future of African media?
I think social media is incredibly important, obviously, because, in the 30, 40 years ago, audiences used to aggregate around very few media options. And social media is reaching people, on their terms, on their devices, at all stages of their day. So it's certainly incredibly powerful. Having said that, I think that social media also has created so much of an echo chamber and fragmentation of opinion and has the potential to seed quite a lot of discord amongst people. And what we've seen is that actually, as much as a lot of people are deriving a lot of their information and day-to-day media consumption through their social media interactions, what it's done is it's actually also created more of a need for centrist media that can validate, fact check, that follows proper journalism and editorial principles. And so whilst, for example, we may not break the news anymore, and social media might do that predominantly, people still come to radio, for example, to check that the news is valid and to understand, because they go back to brands that they trust. It's not to say that people don't trust certain sources on social media, and obviously it's a very broad thing to say. You could follow trusted people in a social media platform, but I think that what it's done is it's created more of a need for people to have some sort of a sense maker of all of the inputs that they're getting through these social media platforms. And of course, it's incredibly powerful as a marketing tool in a way, if you are a content creator, to reach your audiences and bring them back into your own platforms. And so, it's absolutely imperative that you have a sound social media strategy that dovetails with your content strategy if you hope to reach the audiences that you're looking to reach with your content.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And I think your response is sort of like leaning into the next question, which is, how can traditional media companies stay relevant in this changing landscape?
I think the first that every traditional media company, in fact, any content creator must do is invest in research. You have to know what your audiences are thinking, how the lifestyle changes are affecting them. We all have an anecdotal understanding based on our own experience of how our lives may be shifting and changing, with current technological and social changes. But you have to research that to understand on a trend level what is impacting. My experience might be different to yours, for example, and so understanding audiences is now more important than it's ever been. And the other significant thing is trust. What we have is trust as traditional media organizations built up over many years. And as much as it is fashionable in some quarters to belittle the role of so-called mainstream media and discredit some of the principles that have made it so trustworthy over the years, I think making sure that one invests in editorial teams that are checking the facts that they are communicating, that you at all times protect this element of trust. It's tempting to cut costs and cut corners, and traditional media companies cannot afford to do that. And if they make sure that they maintain their integrity and the trust relationship that they have with audiences, I dare say they'll actually thrive in this highly fragmented and quite confusing media environment.
Wow. And the last question is, what's the one thing that you're looking forward to learning or exploring in the media world in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Because I know with AI coming into the picture now, that has definitely shifted a whole lot of things. So what is the one thing that you are looking forward to?
I think, look, yes, AI is the big buzzword at the moment. But what interests me about AI is its application across every aspect of our business. So whilst there's been a lot of attention on AI in content creation, I have to say I'm not excited about AI voices. I'm not excited about AI presenters as much as there's a level of sophistication to the technology that can draw current talking points into AI voiced content modules. I think human engagement requires human understanding. So I'm not so excited about that. But the application of AI in content creation, in research, in business process, in all of the support aspects, in creating base content upon which editorial teams can build real human, compelling, engaging stories. I think AI as an enabler is going to be groundbreaking. And so, again, I would approach AI less from the more sensationalist side of the sort of the deepfake technology that we're exposed to, and that's causing a lot of uproar in media circles, and more towards AI as an enabler of so many of our other business processes. I think that's really going to be what's going to change the face of content creation in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I agree with you, especially when it comes to just I call it admin assistant, because there is so much that you can do with regards to admin, with regards to research. But when it comes to creativity, I feel like we as humans, we still have to contribute, because we cannot all just be entertained by AI voices and AI presenters. Like, really, I'm not keen on that. But either way, thank you so much, Mr. Nick, for joining us today in this discussion session. We were just exploring the changes in the media landscape in Africa and discussing the strategies of adaptation and innovation. And you have contributed by a bigger chance. So thank you for that. I think the last one would just be for you. If you want people to engage with you or to further communicate, where can they find you? How can they connect?
Thanks, Gina. It's been great to chat, and an honor to be part of this event again. We are our brands are jacarandafm.com. If you want to locate us digitally, and that's our station in Gauteng in the northern parts of South Africa, and East Coast Radio at ecr.co.za is the brand down in KZN, and you'll get links there to all of our podcast and all of our digital content. And I'm always keen to engage, and my email is nickg@kagisomedia.co.za.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.